Are you dealing with the surge in your bottom line costs due to inflation? Do you need to add in a clause to your contract regarding if your costs increase beyond a certain point, that you as the company reserve the right to adjust pricing on your final invoice? If yes, keep watching this video. Welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Paige. I am the owner and lead attorney behind The Legal Paige. I help small businesses get legally legit in no time without breaking into hives. If simple and easy legal tips are just what you need, please subscribe to my channel. Here's the thing. Inflation is predictable, and you as a business owner should be upping your packages and your pricing year after year to reflect the changes due to inflation. But what many service providers are experiencing is the unforeseen massive spikes in inflation here in 2022, not only due to the pandemic, but also due to political happenings around the world. So what do you do as a business owner, and how do you adjust your pricing accordingly so that your bottom line isn't too affected by this increase in wholesale costs of goods? Step number one is to decide what you want to increase. Legally speaking, it's best to only increase or adjust for the cost of goods, not gas or traveling. Those are costs that should be absorbed by your business and not put onto the client. You should be predicting in advance how changes in gas prices and travel costs will impact your business. And so instead of putting those onto your existing clients, we here at The Legal Paige suggest that you increase your packages and pricing or just your travel fees for future clients in order to best offset those costs for your business that are being incurred right now. So if you're a service provider and you're only dealing with the massive increase in gas prices right now, I definitely don't suggest that you change your contract or ask your clients for more money. That's just gonna rock the boat too much. It's not going to end good for you, and it's probably going to impact how your clients are feeling about you prior to you actually servicing them at the event. So the only exception to this increase in gas prices when I wouldn't suggest inputting that onto your client, I would say that if you are like a rental company and you have 5 large trucks that travel 60 to 100 miles to and from the event, then gas prices are a huge part of the services that you're providing, right? Because you're traveling with large tents, large rental equipment to and from the event. So your clients are probably going to be more understanding there for you having to increase the final invoice due to increased gas prices. This also goes for people who are like hot rod car rental companies where the actual service you're providing is delivering the hot rod vehicle to your clients, and the vehicle can't move without gas. And so gas is a huge part of the services and the product that you're delivering to the client. It's also just not something you can unilaterally do with your existing clients right now without their approval. Of course, if you had a clause in your contract saying that you reserve the right to adjust pricing, you could do it. But if you don't have that, then basically you have to ask your clients to sign a contract addendum. And like I said, if you're only doing this for increased travel costs and gas prices, across the board, everyone is dealing with this. So not only you as a service provider, but your clients as well, and everyone that's involved in the event, say you're servicing a wedding or event, all of the vendors, all of the guests, all of the clients involved are having to deal with the increase in gas prices. So you should absorb those costs through your business in other ways. But it's different for service providers who actually have wholesale costs of goods as a majority portion of the services that they give to their clients. Who am I talking about here? This is going to be hair and makeup artists, caterers, florists, cake bakers. These are service providers who buy wholesale goods and then utilize them as part of their services, and primarily a huge part of their services. And all of that is impacting their bottom line dramatically right now. So for florists, it's wholesale costs of flowers, greenery, pots. For caterers, it's of course food prices increasing dramatically. For bartenders, it's going to be liquor, beer, wine costs. For hair and makeup artists, it's going to be the products that you buy to utilize on your clients when you're servicing them. And for cake bakers, many of you are having to buy flour, butter that have gone through the roof in pricing right now. Step number 2 is to have a clause in your contract on the right to adjust pricing for new customers. Now, this only goes for future bookings, clients who haven't booked you yet. And here's why. You have to be clear at the beginning of your relationship with your client on what they need to expect in terms of their final invoice. So you have to be clear within this clause that you will only have a difference of an increase or an adjustment in that final invoice due to rising cost of goods, maybe even beyond a certain point. Say you set a bar of if it goes beyond a 5% increase, then I reserve the right to adjust the final invoice as the company. Also, you have to notify your clients that you're going to do this prior to sending the final invoice. So the best way to go about this is just to communicate with your clients on the changes to the final invoice due to rising costs of goods. This is, of course, if you have this clause already in your contract, and you're going to do it at least 30 days in advance of the event. This means that your clients can look at the final invoice, see the increases in pricing, and make adjustments accordingly. You can offer alternative substitutions or suggestions for them to stay within budget. So maybe you're a caterer and your clients wanted the filet mignon to start for their seated plated dinner, but now, due to increase in pricing, you suggest an alternative to stick within their budget of salmon or chicken. And you're doing this in advance of them paying the final invoice, and of course, in advance of you ordering all of the products that you need to use for your services. Again, I just want to reiterate here that this clause needs to be kind of two-sided. You reserve the right to increase pricing due to the package that they booked because of increased wholesale costs of goods, but then they also, as the clients, have the power to make modifications and adjustments. Say if you're a florist, you've probably experienced this before. You've likely had clients have a huge floral package, and then it comes really close to the event and the clients are unable to get XYZ type of florals because of the pricing on them. Say it used to be $3 for a stem and now it's $5.50 for a stem. And so they have to reduce their overall floral package with you to be somewhere within budget that they originally thought about. So instead of paying an extra $1,500, $2,500 for their floral package, you're able to maybe just increase their package price by $500 so they're not way outside of their budget. Now, where do you put this clause? We suggest here at the legal page that you put it within your fee clause. So it's going to be a subparagraph to your actual fee and retainer clause. But you can also have this as a standalone clause. In catering contracts and food truck contracts, usually this is called a food pricing adjustment clause, so it would be a standalone clause in those type of contracts. But for all intensive purposes, most of your clients are going to look very intently at the fee clause. They want to know when they have to pay things, what the pricing of things are, and they want to be aware of when things may be in flux and change with pricing and final invoices. So that's always a really good place to put it because you know that your clients are going to have their eyes on that clause. Now, if you're confused on the actual legal language that needs to be in such clause, the good news is the legal page has created this template clause just for you. It's called the right to adjust pricing clause. We sell it a la carte at thelegalpage.com. It's popped up here on your screen, and you can purchase it and copy and paste it into your already existing contract. And if you have any additional questions regarding what's within this clause, what you should expect from this clause, please feel free to tap on the link to this clause in the description box below and look through our product description. Or if you have even additional questions beyond that, you can pop them in the comments of this video. Oh, and one quick last thing, if you have one of the legal page full-length contracts, such as a florist contract, cake contract, catering contract, or food truck contract, you don't have to purchase this clause a la carte. It's actually included in the full-length contracts, and we recently just updated them, so you just need to go to your TLP customer account and download the most recent version. So let's go through the steps so far. Step number 1 is decide what you are wanting to increase. Step number 2 is to add in a clause to your fee clause or a standalone clause on your company's right to adjust pricing due to increase costs of goods. And again, this is a clause that you can only put in contracts that haven't been signed yet. So for future bookings and future clients. So step number 3 that I want to talk about is using a contract addendum for existing contractual clients that you already have. And essentially what you're going to do here is utilize the right to adjust pricing clause that I just talked about, but you're using a contract addendum where it says, legally speaking, that the original contract is in full force and effect, but the parties are agreeing to add in this additional clause. So you're modifying the contract by adding something in. And so an addendum is a 4-corner document that's really simple. It has that language that I just talked about at the top, and then it has the full clause that you intend to modify and add in to the original contract. And then at the bottom, it explains that both parties agree to it, and all parties to the contract need to sign this addendum as well. So the problem here that you're probably thinking in your head is, Paige, if I present this contract to my clients, they're probably going to be like, wait, what? You're increasing your pricing on me? This wasn't in the original agreement. And you should expect some pushback from your clients. We're all dealing with inflation. We're all dealing with increased cost of goods right now. And so you have to be ready to clearly communicate the why behind you doing that to your clients. Now, when you send this contract addendum, I want you to do that via email. I don't want you to just send the contract addendum and, surprise your clients by just saying, click this addendum and please sign on the bottom dotted line. That's giving them nothing as to why you're doing this. You have to explain in an email to your clients why you're sending this addendum, why you're increasing pricing on them, how these costs of goods are really impacting your bottom line. And then they're going to be a little bit more receptive to having to pay you more than you already agreed to in the original contract that you signed. So like I said, you need to clearly communicate in an email why you're increasing the original pricing that you had quoted them, how the increase in wholesale cost of goods has affected your bottom line, and then you're going to ask your clients to sign the contract addendum. If they have additional questions, you need to be ready to get on the phone with them. I always suggest, legally speaking, a phone call can do wonders. If you're sensing some animosity from your clients via email, I always think a phone call and you having an actual conversation with them, the tone of voice, how you can communicate things is so much different on a phone call than it is in an email. So usually if you do both of those things, then your clients are going to understand. And at that point, you can also try to negotiate. Okay, so this is the increase in prices that I'm seeing here reflected on my inventory list. If you want to adjust your package accordingly, you can do so. So the key here is to ensure that they actually do stay your clients and you're not leading down a path of terminating or having to cancel services. So very similar to what I was talking about on how you would utilize just an a la carte right to adjust pricing clause in a contract that your clients had already signed, you're going to do the same thing here with this contract addendum. Overall, it's important to understand how, when, and if you should ask your clients for more money due to increase in cost of goods. I have additional resources for you at thelegalpage.com by way of a contract addendum that you can utilize to add in a clause to already signed contracts regarding the company's right to adjust pricing, as well as an a la carte clause that you can add into your contracts for future bookings. Be sure to check out those resources by clicking on the description box below.